I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. We got some really big news we want to share with you, but you know, first thing you got to say, who is happy to see the sunshine? Oh my gosh! You know, it's less than 2 weeks to spring. Somebody told me it's like 7 days. Spring's in 7 days.
It's the 20th.
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 Today's the 13th. 7 days. Right?
Make your peace next week.
No more. No more. Anyway, what I want to start out by saying is, Ira and I want to say number one, first and foremost, we think we got the best employees in the world. So give you guys a hand. We definitely wouldn't be able to do the things that we do, the things that we're going to talk about later today. We wouldn't be able to provide fabulous customer service that we do to our healthcare clients across the country if it wasn't for this team that's in here, and for those who are not in here but maybe can see us because we're streaming live all across the country. So hello team, and again that thank you goes out to you guys as well. So again, you guys deserve a hand of applause, and again, Ira and I can't thank you enough for the support, the dedication, the commitment that you bring to the organization. So again, thank you. I know you guys don't want to hear me talk. I'm not going to sit up here and spend a whole lot of time pontificating about you know, the things that we do and where we're going. But you know, again, Trios is off to a great year. We finished up last year doing very well. This year, you know, we are doing wonderful, and we want to share, you know, our success with those that helped us get there. We want to share our success with those in the community. We want to share that success with, you know, those who need help. And that's kind of what this meeting is about today. We're going to be talking about our Give 5 program. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about Give 5 because I want Ira to share what's going on with that program. And you know, we have some special guests that are going to be talking later on about what the Give 5 program is going to be involved in doing with it and what their part in it as well. So without further ado, I give you Ira, the master of all masters of ceremony.
Most of you know I have a tough time talking in front of large crowds. Anyway, so I want to kind of frame out. We launched our Give 5 program back in December 2013. And for some of our new folks and people out in the field that may not know this, Give 5 is our corporate social responsibility program. So it's Trios' program. And what's kind of cool about it is that aligns so much with our mission and vision of giving back to healthcare. That is what Trios is about. And so Give 5, it really helps support that mission and vision, making a difference in healthcare. So just kind of want to frame out a couple of these things, that some of the elements of Give 5. First thing is we identify a corporate charitable organization that we want to work with, and I'm really excited to announce that we have chosen Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation for Childhood Cancer as Trios' corporate organization that we're going to partner with across the country.
Our charity of choice.
You'll learn more about this, you know, today. So I'm not going to kind of go into some of the details, but what there's a lot of opportunities for all of us to get involved. Again, to support our mission and to help this great cause, this great organization. Second thing is we have our employee service program. So we talked about this. We allow 1 hour, up to 1 hour a week, so 52 weeks a year, to allow our employees at their choice and discretion to volunteer their time on company paid time at a charitable organization of their choice. Again, whether it's locally, out in the field, again, that is something that's important, and we've done that. We've done that in a number of ways, everything from Habitat for Humanity, local blood drives. I know some of the folks out in the field have done that as well. So we want to continue to do that, and if you have questions on how that works, please feel free to talk to Katie and or Ashley or your supervisor. The third thing is it's a new process. Is that we're going to start talking about environmental sustainability again to support that mission. And more to come. We do some things today that we probably don't publicize or talk about, but that'll be all part of it. And lastly, just as everybody knows, we still have causes and organizations that we support and have supported for many years. Things like Meals on Wheels, things like the Pop Tops for the Ronald McDonald House organization. We'll continue to support those. We do some things with some of our clients out at their locations, so we'll continue to do that. So all that activity under the Give 5 program takes a lot of thought, a lot of effort. I do want to thank Sherry for pulling this together, and our other business partner Vault Communications for helping us kind of frame this out, because this really is very important. But what I do want to also announce is we want to establish a TRIOS committee, a Give 5 committee, and I'm going to be the executive sponsor of it. We've had great success so far with other committees, things like our wellness program, where, again, the folks in this room and the folks that are watching live or will watch it recorded, they're participating. That's what's shaping, the way we're operating and the way we are working together. So it's not about CJ or I doing this, it's about you folks. So anyone who is interested in joining that the Give 5 committee, all I'm asking you to do is send me, certainly you can ask me a question about it, but send me an email. Tell me why you want to be on the committee. I really want to hear your input, your voice. And then we're gonna kind of formalize it, and that'll help guide and shape some of the things with all those elements of Give 5, including Alex's lemonade stand. How we rally our time and use our time and resources. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Sherry.
All right. So Ira, you finally got your 5 minutes of fame on TV, which you've been working for a long time. But anyway, so before I introduce our guests, I do have a short video.
Butterflies always make me think of Alice. Alex Scott, the lemonade girl. Hi, my name is Alex.
She amazed us right from the beginning.
She was funny and smart, so cute with that high-pitched voice.
I feel good.
You feel
And
good?
I feel bad sometimes. The doctors looked her over and said she was sick.
And so they came in and told us that she had a tumor wrapped around her spine.
And that's when I just fell apart.
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
She started, asking about having a lemonade stand.
She wanted to help other kids with cancer.
She said, I'm not keeping the money, I'm giving it to my hospital.
Please come to my lemonade stand.
There was traffic in our front yard, down the whole street.
Lemonade.
Yeah, they were amazed. $12,000 from a lemonade stand.
I raise money.
For what?
Cancer research.
I said, Alex, you're going to raise $1 million. How are you going to do that?
And she said, if other people help me, I think I can do it.
She wanted other kids to help. Kids like me to have their own lemonade stand. We held a lemonade stand and raised $26. We raised $14,000. Please accept this money. I hope we help you.
This one stand has turned into over 20,000 stands.
My friends helped me because I wasn't feeling good.
You could just see her slipping away. It was sad and it was terrifying.
We had 7.5 years to say goodbye. So we appreciate it every day.
Lemonade! Lemonade! Please donate. Fight childhood cancer. One cup at a time.
We really didn't have a choice but continue it.
Alex's lemonade stand!
This is bigger than her. This is about curing childhood cancer.
We fund research projects with most of the money. We fund the best projects that we can find.
Certainly one of the biggest shots in the arm for pediatric cancer research worldwide.
Well, Alex's Lemonade will help any family with a child with cancer.
The work that they're doing, saving his life.
It's helping people.
Her legacy lives on. What she started will live on.
We love you, Alex!
She's making people believe that there's hope and that we can find a cure for cancer.
proud. I'd like to introduce Liz Scott now, Alex's mom. Please come up front and
Hello, everyone. As she said, my name is Liz Scott, and I'm proud to say I'm the mom to Alex, the founder of Alex's Lemonade Stand, and I also have 3 boys who are, so we just had a birthday, so I gotta think for a second, 20, 16, and 12. Alex was our second child. She would be 19 years old now, and she was diagnosed as an infant with neuroblastoma, which is the most common infant cancer. Actually, we had never heard of it, and hopefully none of you have either. Until she was diagnosed. But she never, after that point, she never lived a day in her life without her cancer. She fought for 7.5 years. And in that time, she went through all of the known cures that didn't work for her, many surgeries, and basically we traveled to multiple hospitals for second and third opinions, exploring all the options. And it was when she was 3 years old, going on 4, that we received the worst news possible, which was her there was nothing left to give her that they thought would cure her. And 3 hospitals told us that it was probably time to consider stopping treating her, bringing her home, and enjoying the time we had with her away from the hospital. But Alex at this time was really, very vibrant and full of life, and she had been paralyzed from her tumor as an infant. So she had been working hard for 3 years to learn how to walk, and she was learning how to walk, and it was really just a complete joy. And we couldn't imagine that this was a girl who it was time to, take home. So we ended up traveling here to Philadelphia. We lived in Hartford, Connecticut area at the time, and we started traveling to Philly for the first experimental treatment that she went on. And that was a really important moment for us. It was a really important moment for her. And actually, as it turns out, a really important moment, I think, for childhood cancer and her lemonade stand in general. We had to kind of psych her up about this because she, is in hospital, and it's very intimidating, especially for children. They have their favorite nurses and their favorite doctors, and they're very familiar with the hospital setting. So we really psyched her up and said, this is a brand new treatment, is what we called it. They haven't tried this on very many kids. It might actually work. I mean, she knew that she had been doing this for a very long time, even though she was only 3. So we traveled to Philadelphia. She was at a pretty bad place by the time we came to Philadelphia. Things had been advancing. She was starting to have pain in her bones. And we were pretty devastated, and to be honest with you, hopeful that it might help, but in our hearts we also thought we might be losing her, and that this might be a futile trip to make. But we felt it was time to do something. So she came in for that treatment. It's really incredible. The reason I like to tell this story is because I think it was a huge moment for Alex. She came in on pain medicine around the clock. It was very uncomfortable. She was in isolation for 3 days because she was getting a treatment that essentially made her radioactive. It was a targeted therapy, which are really big now, but back then they were very experimental. She came out of that hospital room 3 days later. She's only not even 4 years old yet. All smiles, and she said, "Mommy, that treatment worked. Let's go shopping." She liked to shop when she was feeling well. And that was a huge moment for us, because when Alex said something worked, she was usually right because she knew how she felt. The scans confirmed that not only had it worked, but it had reduced her tumor more than anything she had ever been on. Her bones were clean. She had some bulky tumors, but everything was greatly reduced. It was a huge moment in her treatment because we realized that there was more that could be done. There were other treatments that we could pursue, and the hospital here in Philadelphia was willing to work with us to give her more time, give her more quality time, and maybe stumble across, the newest cure. For Alex, it was pretty big, apparently, because about a month later, she started talking about having a lemonade stand. And it was January, and we were still living in Connecticut. Not like it would be different in Philly, but, I said, sure, things you tell your kids. We had 3 young kids at the time. When it gets warmer, when you're feeling better, put her off for several months. She persisted to ask me, to the point where it was kind of getting on my nerves. And so one day, she said, now it's getting hot out. It was June. And we still haven't had my lemonade stand. And I said, Alex, what could you possibly want so badly? You've been talking about this lemonade stand for months. And she said, I'm not keeping the money. I'm giving it to my doctor so they can help kids the way they helped me. And that had been her plan all these months. We did not know that. So, of course, we got right to work, which really just meant, like we said, let's do it this weekend. And we we made a poster that she was donating the money. And I told her, Alex, you're gonna raise like $5 or $10. I was really proud and surprised that she wanted to do this. I didn't think it would have an impact outside of the fact that it was really important to her. So you're gonna raise $5 or $10. And I, would tell people even like, haha, Alex is gonna have a lemonade stand and she's gonna cure cancer with it. But she said, I don't care, I'll do it anyways. She set up in our front yard that day. It was a day that really changed our lives. We saw how many people cared, how many people came out, people who didn't know her showed up with $50 bills, $100 bills. She ended up raising $2,000 that day. And when she got into bed that night, I said, Alex, what do you think? She said, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It meant that much to her. So it was a really big moment. But we thought that was it. I mean, she's 4 and she raised $2,000. That's a huge effort. And we ended up moving to Philadelphia, which is really important as sort of to know about childhood cancer families. Many families have to travel long distances when they get to the point of needing experimental treatment. We were no exception. We ended up deciding to move here so that we would have more opportunity for her to have more treatments here, but also not kind of have our family in 2 different places. Another great decision we made. We moved here, and Alex, of course, decides, it's time for my lemonade stand again. Long story short, over the next several years, she would have a lemonade stand in our front yard. And every single year, we would be surprised. And you would think we would stop being surprised at some point. But the enormity of the support that she received. In our front yard, she raised $12,000. The Philadelphia Inquirer, somebody who's now actually one of my very best friends, she was like a mom acquaintance from karate class, so we would sit next to each other and talk, and I told her about Alex's stand. She called the Philadelphia Inquirer. They did an article about it. She was getting, not only having her stand, she was getting money sent to her from all around Philadelphia, but really all around the country. The story was getting picked up. There was no social media, but it was getting picked up on the news and local newspapers. And we started receiving letters from people donating. But the incredible thing that happened was we started getting letters from other kids who said, Alex, I heard what you did, and I decided I could have a lemonade stand. I want you to add the money. And that was a big moment for Alex, too, because I think it gave her a vision for what it could become, even though at that point she was 5 or 6 years old. That was a pretty pivotal moment. And it also, another thing happened in that same year between 5 and 6 that has shaped our foundation. I'm very grateful to Alex for, and that was what we were doing with the money. So as she's having these stands, and there's People Magazine did a story, it was like stories were coming out in between. So this front yard stand was becoming, checks in the mail throughout the year, here and there. So she had raised about $30,000 or $40,000, and we were opening the mail one day, and we had a few checks that came in. We were donating it at the time to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is a great institution, for neuroblastoma research, because that's what Alex had. And she said to me one day, what are we doing with all this money? And I said, Alex, you know what we're doing. Here I am thinking she thinks we're keeping it or something. We're giving it to the hospital. She said, no, but what are they doing with it? And I said, well, they're using it to research neuroblastoma, thinking this would be great. And she started shaking her head, and I said, what's the matter? And she said, that is so selfish. And even then, I was about to say, I don't care, because I want a cure for neuroblastoma. In my mind, apparently, we were doing this to find a cure for her disease, right? We were doing this to maybe stumble across something that would help her. And before I could even say that, she said, all kids want their tumors to go away, which is what she always called her cancer. We should be giving money to all different hospitals for all kinds of cancer, kids' cancer. And I got this feeling here, like I remember just my eyes tearing up and thinking, I am selfish. I felt this big, as my dad would say. I felt like the smallest person in the world for thinking this lemonade stand was about curing my child. So we immediately got to work. Alex came to some of those meetings with us, talking to researchers, really finding out what the problems were. And we saw firsthand that Alex had been fighting for years, and they still didn't have anything. So we got into those conversations about where can we put the money, where are the gaps, what can't you get funded, and why can't you get that funded? And we started filling those gaps, which is something we still do and we're really proud of. We're not afraid to fund the things that other people maybe don't find sexy enough, as we call it. They, for example, a clinical research team to run clinical trials in the hospital. They didn't have people dedicated to that. So the clinical trial process would take 4 months for one child instead of 4 weeks for one child. And it was dragging it out. And as you can imagine, the kids on the trials, like Alex, they don't have that kind of time. 4 weeks is a very long time to go without treatment, never mind 4 months. So we started filling those sorts of gaps, and it's been hugely successful. So finally in 2004, Alex had her first stand in 2000, so 4 years in, she's raised over $100,000. She was very, very sick. The experimental treatment she was on, we moved here, she was on one for a year and a half. It worked, got her down to minimal disease, the least she had ever had. But it had stopped working, and we were really just burning through new treatments. She really believed in getting treated. She really wanted to try new things. She really felt that if it didn't help her, it would help other people. So she was still getting treated all this time, but it was clear that she didn't have a lot of time. And we weren't even thinking about the lemonade stand at this point. It was January. Her stand was always in June. And we ended up, kind of just focusing on our family. We had another child born that March, so right in that time frame. Actually the year before. So we had a lot going on, let me just say that. And she gets on the phone with a reporter and says, well, last year I raised over $100,000, so this year I'm going to raise $1 million. And I said, Alex, like, how are you going to raise $1 million this year? And she said, well, if everyone has lemonade stands, I think we can do it. So we sat down with her, my husband Jay and myself, and she came up with this plan that we could have stands in every single state on the same day that she had her lemonade stand. And it was called Lemonade Day. That was the first one back in 2004. Now we call it Lemonade Days, and it spreads out over 3 days. We still do it every year in June. It's a great event. Anybody can participate in. But she had her last stand. And in that time, her story became a huge national story. Some of you may have heard about it in that time frame. She was on the Oprah Show. She was on the Today Show. The Associated Press did an article that was in hundreds of newspapers. So she reached her goal. She had stands in every state. By the middle of July, the money's coming in, and we were able to tell her that she would reach her goal of $1 million, which is amazing. And she died 10 days later. And at the time, I thought, wow, how lucky, right? That she was able to see that goal met. And obviously, that's what she was waiting for. And I'm so grateful to her for that, because what she did at the end of her life really set the foundation up to continue. When she passed away, we thought it would go away. I mean, this was the story, right? This girl starts a lemonade stand. She reaches her goal. She passes away. It was sort of like the Hollywood ending, right? But that didn't happen. People kept sending letters and sending money. By the end of the year, it was almost $1.5 million saying, we're going to continue this. I think, so we kind of got to the point where we said, we need to make a decision. We like to do things the right way. So we either need to do this and do it the right way, or we need to kind of direct people to send their money to their local hospital or whatever. So after a lot of thought and a lot of discussion, we decided to start the foundation in early 2005. But the thing that really got me about starting the foundation was an email from a mom who's actually made a cameo appearance in that. Her name is Dawn, and she was the one whose son had the glasses, and she said what they're doing is saving his life. We had known him. He's still fighting, actually. He's in the new, very exciting immunotherapy trial down in Washington, D.C. right now. But she sent me an email saying, I'm so grateful to Alex because she gave us all, and you guys have an opportunity to change this for kids like my son. And I could hear Alex saying, that is so selfish for me to even think, all the excuses, it's too hard, this was Alex's thing, I have 3 other kids to worry about now, I can't keep doing this, all those excuses that you can have. So we decided we had to start the foundation, and we did have a huge opportunity to change things for other kids, which is what Alex wanted, and really just finish what she started. So since that time, we have continued to raise money through lemonade stands still, but we have a lot of other ways we raise money. We have great corporate partners, so we're really excited and so grateful to you guys that you are coming on board with us on the Alex family, as we call it. Our corporate partners actually raise nearly half of our money at this point. It's huge, huge contribution, not just in dollars raised, but in spreading the word, talking about it, getting your families involved. I mean, that's really how we've grown. So having an opportunity to work with a company like yours is really huge to us, but most importantly, it's really great for the cause. So we raise money a lot of different ways. We've now passed $100 million raised since Alex opened her first stand, and Mary thought she was going to raise $5 or $10. But the most incredible thing that's happened is the way we have done the funding. Thanks to Alex's, putting me in my place, basically. curing all kinds of childhood cancer, has really had the ability to have a huge impact. We have funded nearly 500 research projects now. And, you know, that's a big number, but what does that really mean? It means we've been able to fill all those gaps, everything from early innovative research, which needs to happen now to kind of get to the next point in treatments, to later clinical trials. We do some travel expense payment for families who have to travel as we did. It's a huge expense when you're going back and forth. Sometimes you have to fly. Not all families can afford to do that. In fact, not very many families can afford to do what it really costs. But the most important thing we do is have an impact on kids today who are alive because of some of the things that we funded. I mean, that was a moment for me that really got me when I heard from another mom whose child was basically put into remission from a clinical trial that we were a part of funding. And even me, having lived in it, you know this is happening and that it's impacting lives, but to hear her story and to hear her say, like, my son did not have much time left. And she had just learned that Alex's, through a TV story, that Alex's was a funder of this project. And she said she just felt like she had to reach out to me because she wanted me to know that her son was in the same place that Alex was, where they're really, you're signing up for these clinical trials, but you're not really believing they're necessarily going to work because nothing's working, and you really start to lose some of that hope. To think that he was at that point, and here now, it's been 3.5 years that he's been cancer-free, is amazing. And I'm very grateful to Alex for having that vision, but, it was really people like you who have kept it going and allowed us to continue to do this and have an impact. Childhood cancer is the #1 disease killer of children in this country. Has been for about 60 years. And in fact, it kills more children every year than the next 5 diseases combined. So although their survival rates are somewhere between 75 and 80%, that 20 to 25% is really not okay. And it's not acceptable. And when your child is diagnosed and you hear, 75 to 80% chance overall, that doesn't seem that great, right? When you flip it around in your head and you think, okay, then my child is 1 in 5 chance of not surviving or 1 in 4 chance. And there are some cancers like Alex where the survival rates and many brain tumors are much lower. So we focus on the hard to treat cancers. We focus on better treatments. The kinds of therapies they're developing now are so exciting. They're targeted therapies, they're immunotherapies, they're training your own body to fight off the cancer. They've proven to be extremely effective for some kids. They're making a lot of progress. The most important part of them being targeted is that the kids will have less side effects. So the old school way of treating when Alex was diagnosed was they kind of throw everything at them, literally, everything they have, because that's what the cure, that's to get the maximum cure. Now they're able to look at diseases and say, well, you know what, this has these characteristics, so these 4 things aren't going to work against it, so let's not do that. And the reason that's important is not just the side effects, but for someone like Alex, after you've had a lot of treatment, you can't get a lot of other treatments. Automatically you become ineligible. So it's a really exciting time to be investing in it. And we're just thrilled to have a new partner and somebody that we can share the love with, I guess I would say. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Wow. This is not usually a shy group.
Anyway, I'm not that fragile. If you can answer questions from first graders, you can answer them from, because they will ask you literally anything under the sun. They will ask you, and they ask some pretty smart questions, actually.
I was just going to say, I have a comment. I have 3 kids myself, and you tell me all these great things that Alex did when she was 4 and 5 years old. You have to be extraordinarily proud, because I can't imagine my 4 or 5-year-old coming up with these great and wonderful ideas, and it's definitely inspiring for us to hear your story. I've been researching you and been on your website now for the last couple months, and so I just want to say thank you for being our partner here. It's a fabulous story, fabulous.
Well, she was definitely unique, and she was a force to be reckoned with, even as a small child. And I think her experience, she was still very young. I mean, we would call her grandma because she's, kind of a wise, she could be a little naggy even at times. Especially when my youngest was born, and she was like the second mother, and she would say, oh, do you really think you should be letting him do that? It won't hurt him, like that sort of thing. But in all seriousness, she did have an extraordinary wisdom and a drive and a determination allowed her to do great things, and I don't think we realized it so much until our third child, who I've never told the story, he was 4, and he was doing some silly 4-year-old boys, I don't know, like, probably like banging his head against something or something, I don't know, or banging something. And my husband and I looked at each other, and he's like, "Can you believe this is the age she was when she started at lemonade stand?" Because it was very unusual, but she had lived her life like that, so it didn't seem surprising at that time, because she was gonna be an astronaut, and she was gonna win American Idol, and she was gonna, be a fashion designer, and she was gonna do a lot of things in her life, and she believed she could do many of them. So, she just had that certain thing, I guess, that some people have. Okay.
Well, I actually was gonna make a comment as well, and I was actually saying, not only is she extraordinary, but you guys have to be too, because she had to get it from somewhere, so, pat yourselves on the back, because she wouldn't have had that without you guys, and that's one of the reasons why we have decided to align with you, because you're special people, and we want to be involved in this project, so.
Well, thank you. It's embarrassing, but thank you. She really, she taught us a lot. She was a much better person than I was, I think, and I learned a lot from her, and I'm grateful for that. So, as much as I'd like to take credit for her, my mom says, then you have to take blame for all the bad things your kids do.
That's the yin and the yang.
That's right. But thank you very much. We feel very lucky to be doing this in our lives, and it's been just beyond anything we could have imagined. So, any questions? Yes.
Here's a question. How do we find out how to get more involved?
Well, I think you guys are going to get more involved.
Absolutely. I have met Lisa McQuiston's also here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce you.
That's okay. Lisa works for the foundation, and we've had some conference calls, and we do have some great plans on some things that we're going to be able to do moving forward. So kind of sit tight on some information we're going to unroll to kind of get the program kick-started. She was gracious enough, her and Liz, to bring up pins, which everybody had on their seats, so you can proudly wear your lemonade pen if you don't have it. Everybody, I'm sure, got their mic bags. The t-shirts, we do have Alex's Lemonade t-shirts for everybody in the room, as well as everyone out in the field. Rather than have everybody come up front and get their t-shirts, I've kind of decided while I'm sitting here, we'll deliver them to your cubes later, so that might make it a little bit more organized. So is there any other questions that anybody else has before I kind of hand it back to Ira and CJ to sort of close out here?
But you can go to our website.
Absolutely.
The whole get involved.
Yeah. So, any other questions from anybody else? Okay, CJ and Ira, if you guys could come up, I'm going to stay up here, Liz, we have, CJ, if you'd like to, and Ira, like to open with some comments first, maybe?
Sure, we're very proud. We researched, and by the way, I need to give Walt some praise on this, and Sherry, when we were looking at, as you guys know, and hope you know, we take this very serious about our community action and supporting charity of choice and the whole Give 5 program. And when Walt, our partner, and Sherry were researching different organizations, and we researched quite a few guys, they stood out heads and tails above everybody else. Wasn't even close. So then we got to actually meet, and actually the first was a phone call.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the weather, imagine this, we had terrible weather. When we had the phone call, I remember I was driving and trying to talk on the phone, and then snow, and these folks were telling their story, and me, I'm not a very direct person, and I basically was asking, tell me the philanthropy part of this. Don't tell me about a logo. Tell me why. This is our passion. This is what we believe in. So why should we be aligned? And I was sold about maybe 5 minutes.
Maybe a little less, I think. Yeah.
So, again, we're very proud to be associated and part of this, and I'm sure you want to throw some comments in here as well, but we want to kickstart this thing off with a bang. We really do.
And just, again, to kind of share with everybody kind of some of our thought process, there was a couple things that were also important to us that we could have a personal relationship with this organization. It's very important, as you can see. Liz, and we've met with Liz's husband Jay, you saw in the video as well. And again, as we were kind of discussing, how do we work together? It really wasn't that complicated. It wasn't that complicated, which was great, because the outcome was what was most important. And so, Jay communicated. He said, "Listen, there's 3 things we look for in a partner." And he says, "And just if you pick one, we're happy." And the first one was, there is a philanthropy piece, and again, this supports our what we were doing and want to continue to do with Give 5, and whether as a company we are donating or we as a company raised money, for this. Absolutely, that's what it's about to keep this going. The second thing he said was, is to get people involved. So what better group of people to get involved than our employees and then all their extended relationships, et cetera, clients, whomever. And the last thing was, hey, as long as somebody is out there carrying on the message. And he says, but just pick one. We're like, one? 3 is all the above. So, that's the kind of the thing. So we're excited about it, and kind of what we want to do now to kind of kick this thing off is present something to Alex.
Come on over here, I'll let you do the honors here. There you go.
Okay. So, on behalf of Trios, this is for you.
Wow.
We are kicking this thing off with a donation from us.
I mean, I thought it was going to be like a couple thousand, which would be amazing.
as part of our Give 5. And so everybody knows the effort that all you folks have done servicing our client, driving those improvements and savings and different things in healthcare allows us to do this. Okay.
I have to say, CJ, this might be my proudest moment working at Trios for, how many years is it now, Stacy? 8 years? Proudest moment ever.
That's so amazing. Speechless. Not speechless. Very often.
Well, that's,
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
That's great.
All right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to finally adjourn and let our field people get back to work and everybody back at their desks. We are going to keep you guys here for a few minutes to do some pictures. Sure. So if anybody has any questions, you can still feel free to hang around and ask Liz those questions if you're a little bit uncomfortable doing it in a group setting. But I do appreciate everybody making some accommodations. I know we were running a little bit behind today. But you'll hear more about Alex's in the future. So
the one thing I should add, especially for the people in the field, I don't know if I mentioned this because I mentioned Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, we fund nationally. We funded now 90 or 102, thank you, 102 different institutions. So that is really important for people to know that we fund the best research regardless of geography.
Wherever they're at.
It just so happens to be at 100 different institutions, which is pretty great.
So outstanding.
Yeah, we're really excited to work with you all. My team will be working with you, and we can't wait to get things kicked off. And
absolutely, and we're going to have, I don't know if it's Lisa or one of your other folks is going to be one of the, we've already said one of our honorary members on our Give 5 committee. So we'll have an opportunity to work with them on an ongoing basis all throughout the year.